now in the studio with Roy O'Connor, who is the Green Spring representative on the board of directors, and he's going to tell us what the board of directors is up to now.
Okay.
Right?
Oh yeah, I'm going to try to. You got to remember, Yvonne, this is the summertime, right? I always remember when I was still teaching. You know, they would say, you know, summertime time to maybe read a book and relax and pull back a little bit, but it seems like we seem to have a lot of things going on all the time, although we do try to take a break in between. So.
Right.
I thought the diversity fair was excellent on Friday. For those that attend, I'm sure they agree with me. Lots of colorful costumes, and the food was great, and it was fun to be there and see all of that. I've written an article for this month's Villager about diversity and inclusion, so I hope the residents will take a look at it and try to explain how the board committee kind of looks at this area. I'm sad to say, you know, that Berwick is leaving, and I just want to extend my good wishes to him. You know, Berwick Drews, our finance director, did such a great job here for 8 years, and I had come just about the same time as him. I guess we'll be 9 in September, but you know, he just did a wonderful job, not just only in finance, but you know, we went through the DOS pond, and we had the Wi-Fi.
He really worked hard on that.
And now the DirecTV. So he was a, you know, tremendous. He did a lot for Green Spring. So, Berwick, if you're listening, we certainly wish him the best.
Yes.
He'll be down there working again with Robin Gliboff. You remember Robin?
Yes.
And helping them install all the Ericsson systems, you know, in accounting and finance, because they don't have any of that. So. You know, we acquired that property a year and a half ago, and now they're finally kind of catching up. So the other thing I see that's going on, I mean, of interest, of course, is we're all adjusting to the new 30-minute later start in the dining hours. You know,
and the 30-minute later start ending.
Yeah, 4 to 4:30. I mean, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but, you know, but I'm happy to see, I've seen some of the reports that Brian is putting out, shows the wait times, you know, for each of the dining rooms, and hopefully that'll be helpful to residents to take a look and see, you know, where the best window is for them to get in. But I'm sure that'll settle down, and it looks like it's improving already, so that's good. Good news is that we have submitted the building permits for the addition to Garden Ridge.
Good.
And as you probably know, we're going to add a wing on the back of that building. To house a new rehab center. You were just talking about rehab before. And so it'll be a nice new state-of-the-art rehab center. Plus, we plan to upgrade all the rooms so they have private showers.
Oh, nice.
So that's a big project, but hopefully we'll get started and actually break ground before year end. But the permit process has begun with Fairfax County, and that takes some while to get through that.
Right.
So, but that's underway. A few things that are coming up. We have our board chair will be visiting next week, Joanne Rorpaugh. She'll meet with myself and Ben Corinth, and also the council officers. And she does that occasionally in between the big meetings, just to see what's going on. And so we always like to have Joanne come. And then after that, I've got a couple of big meetings coming up. One is, you know, I serve on the investment committee for National Senior Campuses, and we meet at Oakcrest next month, August 13th. So what we do is we meet once a quarter in person, which is good because the others we can do by conference call.
Oh, yeah.
So at least it kind of holds down the amount of travel and so on. And then we have our next quarterly board meeting, August 20th, and that one happens to be at Riderwood. When we do that, it's called the Mid-Atlantic meeting, because we have 4 communities, Green Spring, Ashby Ponds, Riderwood, and Oakcrest all come there. The executive directors and the finance and sales directors from each community report. And I always like that meeting because in that format, I get to sit in and hear what's being said about the other communities, kind of learn a little bit from that. And usually we're always in very good standing, so that's good. But that's coming up. So in August, some busy things are happening. We were talking a little bit before we started here today about you know, the board versus, say, the management responsibilities versus the council. And I guess it was back in the fall when I tried to distinguish that, but sometimes residents ask me about that, and I say, the main thing to remember is that the board has overall what we call governance responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we're not to be into the day-to-day management of the community. The board of directors of Greenspring have hired the Erickson company to manage Greenspring. Mm-hmm. And they're paid a fee to do that each year. Because as you know, we are a separate not-for-profit corporation. We own all the buildings, grounds, and equipment. And we're a not-for-profit under the fact that it is a senior housing community as allowed by law. And Erickson is, I think, doing a great job for us, but we really look to them to manage the day-to-day implementation. So, for example, I mean, the board has approved the new approach to dining, which will be coming in the fall, like in September, signature dining. But we're not going to be involved in the day-to-day implementation. We look to management to carry that out. Mm-hmm. Now, there is another key role there in the council, which, you know, I used to serve on the council before I came on the board. But the council serves as a good listening post, you know, for the residents and tries to pass that information to management. And if management can't satisfy their requests or reconcile any of the problems, then they always have a channel where when the board comes, we usually meet with the council so we can hear if there's anything that's on their minds. But usually we look to them to work with management. And it's in an advisory role. You know, I think we have a very active council. They're doing a great job. But once again, we pay the Erickson company to manage. And
so actually, if say I have a problem and I go to the council with it, and are they responsible then of going to the Erickson, or do they bring it to you and you go to Erickson?
No, they go to management here, Erickson management.
Okay.
And usually what it does, if it goes to the council, they have a committee, and the committee kind of looks at it, and if they feel it's significant, then they'll pass it to the council to management. And the council regularly meets with Ben and also the associate director. So it's really, that's the proper channel. Again, I think where I certainly, you know, I'm here and I hear all these things that are going on. I mean, a resident like you, and when we have board meetings and things come up, they look to me to give me some feedback in terms of, well, what do you think the residents think of this, Roy? And hopefully I try to stay in tune with that. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So generally speaking, we want them to use that management channel first and push hard on that. And then if not, then...
How many of the other board members are actually residents?
I'm the only one.
You're the only one.
See, by charter, it requires one resident member.
So,
the others
so
are all
you
outside
are really
directors.
the voice of the residents of
Well,
the
in many
campuses.
Yeah, in many times that's true. And my counterparts, there's 4 of us in Mid-Atlantic, and we try to compare notes too and see what's going on. But it's a great group of outside directors. They're very, very open, and they try to be engaged also. Like, for example, next week when Joanne comes down, probably a couple of members will come with her to try to stay abreast of what's going on also. So they come down in between also and are in discussion with me. Sometimes I get notes from them, hey, Roy, we heard about this, what do you think? And I tell them whatever I know, you know, exactly. So, yeah, it's been a pleasure really to work with them. And the other aspect now is the 2 committees that actually I'm serving on, I think, are on this, our supporting board. So I don't want to confuse everybody, but there's another board above the Greenspring board.
Okay.
It's called National Senior Campuses.
National Senior Campuses.
Yeah, NSC. And that board does a lot of the hard work, I call it the heavy lifting, in terms of committee work that they pass down to all 16 boards, all the 16 community boards.
Okay.
So like the investment committee is managing the overall reserves for all the communities, and also
Well, now this National Senior Council, are they strictly involved with the Erickson properties?
Just Erickson Properties.
Okay.
Just Erickson Properties. It's also a not-for-profit corporation, and it's a supporting board. Plays a big role when a new community is starting up. Like right now, there's a new community, an Erickson community, starting up in northern New Jersey called Lantern Hill. So it's going to be a not-for-profit, just like us. Much smaller community, but they're very much engaged in helping get them started, get their board established, and give them the benefit of a lot of information that is available and a lot of know-how.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
So, so that's been good, and I've enjoyed serving on that. I think when I went on, I was the first resident director to go on the investment committee. Normally it's been outside directors, but I expressed an interest in it, and they invited me to join, and now I'm a permanent voting member of it. And as you probably remember, we're the largest contributor to the long-term reserves, and these are our own monies. They're separated, and you can't loan one to the other. It's separate that way. It's just that it's managed overall. And matter of fact, as of the end of May, our reserves stood at $108.7 million, which is up about 3% year to date, and about 7% on a compound basis since we started this in 2009. So we're doing real well there.
Sounds
so that's
well.
great.
Sounds like good.
So I like doing that very much. You know, my background before I came here was in finance and planning with the IBM company, but even after that, I did some teaching at Virginia Military Institute in the Economics and Business Department. And while I was down there, I was one of 2 faculty advisors to our cadet investment club. I will tell you, Yvonne, I learned more about the markets in 9 years with those young men in making investments. You know, the foundation would give them $100,000 each year, real money, to invest. And so, you know, you started in September and went around till May to see how you could do. And they would get right down to the fundamentals. So, you know, it's the same thing.
They probably took more risks than we would.
yeah, they're pretty good. So, I mean, there's some fundamentals, you know, about, you know, portfolio management and not putting all your eggs in one basket and all these things, all these principles.
Yeah.
And by the way, you know, on the investment committee, our whole thrust is to certainly preserve principle, and if we can get a little growth, that's fine. Okay, but we always like to remind our investment managers who come in that look, we'd like to make a little money, but we don't want to lose any money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now let's talk about risk. Okay? And we go from there. So it's been good.
Well, I think we're just about out of time. You have anything big you need to hit people with?
No, other than I think I just would like to say that I enjoyed serving on the board, representing the residents. And as we started the meeting, hope that everybody will sit back and enjoy the summer like the old days. Read a good book, sit on your patios, and we'll have plenty to do come fall. But nice being with you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you.